So today is a rainy day. I am slowly getting my voice back because, as you can probably see, it doesn't really sound like me. My books are falling off, and I have a pimple here that is not going anywhere. So I had to film because why not? Something good had to come out of this. Hello, beautiful bookworms. My name is Katarina, and welcome to my channel. And today I'm going to try and talk a really slowly, sort of not too loud, in order to not lose the rest of the voice that I have left, because 2 days ago I couldn't speak, and now I am slowly but surely gaining my voice back. So what better way to celebrate that than actually filming a book haul for you guys for the month of September. So in September here in Porto, what happens is that we have a book fair where the books are at lower prices, and a lot of publishers and independent bookstores come and celebrate the written word, and they are there. And I went there, so you can see that shit hit the fan. I have a lot of books to show you, and I have a lot of books partially because I have one book that was not bought for me or by me, but that I'm lending. No, I'm being lent that book by my boyfriend for me to read, and he got me some manga and graphic novels, and then we got some books. So the manga and graphic novels and the book that was not actually bought for me are going to be the beginning of this video, and then the books that I got in the book fair is going to be the end of the video, because I thought you'd like to see the books that I got in the book fair. That's it. That's the tea. Okie dokie. So the first book that was not bought for me specifically is from a book series that my boyfriend is actually reading, and since he's reading it, he decided to lend them to me in order for me to read it, because we are planning to watch the TV series that is going to come out this fall together. And that is the Witcher series. So you may remember in my last book haul, I hauled The Last Wish by Andrzej Sapkowski, which is the first one, so he lent it to me. I haven't read it yet, but now he finished The Sword of Destiny by Andrzej Sapkowski, which is the second in the Witcher books, and he lent it to me. So here it is. This is a Portuguese version of it. So yeah, this one and the first one are like a collection of short stories that introduce the characters to us, and then the real supposed plot will start in the third book, but he's not yet started with it, so I'm not hauling it because I don't have it. Life. So to start with the mangas and graphic novels that he got for me, I have a very special one that I had no idea it was coming, but I was very happy about this. And that is this little puppy. It is called Harley Quinn Breaking Glass, and this is a graphic novel by Mariko Tamaki and Steve Pugh. And it's basically the story of Harley Quinn revisited in the modern world, and obviously it introduces the Joker, which you all know. I mean, first of all, I love the Joker as a character. I hate the relationship that he has with Harley, but I love him as a villain and as a bad guy, because I really do feel like he is one of the smartest villains that was ever there. So I am a Joker stan, but not a violence in relationship stan. So I really don't enjoy the relationship with Harley, but at the same time, I enjoy the building up of his character. And obviously his relationship with Harley is one of the parts of the character. So that disclaimer out of the way, this is basically the story of 15-year-old Arlene Quinzel, and she has been sent to live in Gotham City. So she has been in a lot of abusive and hard situations as a kid, for what I understand, but she finds a drag queen, Mama, and Mama takes her in Gotham City, so she finds like a true place for her. She goes to school, she has a best friend called Ivy, and we're all seeing that it's Poison Ivy, right? I mean, I saw it right away. I hope you saw it too, because if not, spoilers. And yes, but what happens is that she's okay, she's fine, but then Arlie's fortune takes another turn when Mama's drag cabaret becomes the next victim in the wave of gentrification that's taking over the neighborhood, which is a very interesting plot. Like, who would have thought about this? This is a very modern thing. So Arlie's very angry, she's mad, And she can face two choices: join Ivy, who's campaigning to make the neighborhood a better place to live, or join the Joker, who plans to take down Gotham one corporation at a time. So being basically an extreme action person, or being someone who's campaigning and trying to be peaceful about the situation. So basically, this author won an Eisner Award, and the artist is an Eisner nominee. And if you don't know, the Eisners are like the prizes for graphic novels and comics and such. And this is just so cool because it's such a modern take to Harley Quinn, the Joker, and many DC characters. So I'm very excited to actually read it and see what this is about. My next graphic novel is actually a Neil Gaiman graphic novel. It is by Neil Gaiman and Colleen Doran, and it's basically called Snow Glass Apples. And this is a revisiting. First of all, it's gorgeous and it's a hardcover. So, yeah. And second of all, it's sort of a retelling and revisiting of the Snow White fairy tale. And it says, a not-so-evil queen is terrified of her monstrous stepdaughter and determined to repel this creature and save her kingdom from a world where happy endings aren't so happily ever after. And it says, from the Hugo, Bram Stoker, Locus, World Fantasy, and Nebula Award-winning bestseller writer Neil Gaiman comes the graphic novel adaptation by Colleen Doran. So, yeah. I think Snow White is supposed to be a vampire in this novel. I am not sure of this, so don't quote me on it, but I just went through some of the art style, which, by the way, is gorgeous. And she was just so thoroughly beautiful and so very pale, and there was blood. So I think she's a vampire, which, if that's the case, paranormal retellings of fairy tales. Guys, do you know me at all? This is like, and it kind of sounds like a horrifying thing, and I'm very into this. I don't know if I'll feel bad for the queen or if I'll feel bad for Snow White, but I cannot wait for this. Now, starting with the manga, I have got The Girl from the Other Side by Nagabe. This is volume 7. As you probably know, I am reading this series slowly as it comes out. This is basically a series that is passed in medieval times, and it's about the inside and the outside. In the inside, the humans live, and they are always terrified about the outside, because in the outside, creatures like this one live, and supposedly they are cursed humans that are turned into creatures and that are evil, and one single touch of them can turn humans into monsters. Or can it? And it's about this little girl that seems to be the answer for everything and the answer to nothing. And it's very, very interesting, deeply sad and nostalgic, but very beautiful. The art is one of my favorite arts in all of manga history, to be honest. It's just so beautiful and dotted and just so amazing. I love it, and I really feel like this is a very black and white-ish thing. Sometimes manga feels like it needs some color, but not for this story. This is perfect the way it is. So I love it. If you've never read this, you should give it a shot because it's beautiful. Then we have, of course, a very normal thing to have in my book hauls. Tokyo Ghoul Re, volume 12. 12? It's already 12? Yeah. By Sui Hishida. And look at this cover. Oh, it's just so gorgeous. I hate that this is in pink though, but it's just very beautiful. So Tokyo Ghoul Re is a sequel to the world famous Tokyo Ghoul series, and I'm not going to talk a lot about this. If you've been on this channel, you know what this is about because it's one of my favorite series of all time. If you haven't been, just know that there's trigger warnings. It's about someone that's half ghoul, half human, and is trying to cope with all of the political and extremely gory situations that come with being a ghoul and being a human, and wanted to unite both of the phases. And yeah, it's about who hunts the ghouls and who the ghouls hunt, and it's amazing. But it has a lot of trigger warnings, so if you want, get informed on that and then pick up these because they're really great. Then we have another one that I was actually hoping that will come this month, and that is Eman Volume 2, and this is the first of Eman Wanderer. Okay, so This is a series about Eman. I have the first one. I read it in August, and it's on my August wrap-up. And this is the second one of the Eman series, but it's the first part of Eman the Wonder series, okay? That's it. This is by Shinji Kajo and Kenji Tsuruta, and they are both very well known in the art and written manga style. They have won prizes. They're amazing. The art for this, first of all, there's colored pages, which there's not a lot of colored pages in manga series. And here there's like a whole chapter of it, which is amazing. And second of all, even when it's not colored, this art is so beautiful. So beautiful. And this is basically a sci-fi-ish sort of romance thing where this girl holds all of the past that happened in Earth, and it's about her future. So it says, Emanon's wanderings across late 1960s Japan bring her across other lives in small country towns, with each encounter leaving people transformed in her wake. Yet the awareness she brings may not give peace of mind when she's driven to explain herself to a person who shouldn't exist. And I'm not going to tell you who that is because that's a spoiler for the first Eman novel. So it says, the saga of the woman who carries the world's memory continues from the artist of the Eisner-nominated Wandering Islands, which is a manga series that I'm trying to get, but apparently is sold out for some reason, and the winner of the Neon Sci-Fi Tasha Award author. So basically they're sci-fi authors, but this is sort of a sci-fi-ish sort of romance. It's very easy to get, but at the same time is very complex. And I really enjoyed reading the first one, so I cannot wait to read this one. And now one of the mangas that I'm most excited for is Fullmetal Alchemist, the Full Metal Edition, Volume 6. And this is purple. First of all, Lust is in the cover, which, if you don't know what I'm talking about, Fullmetal Alchemist is the story of two brothers. They are alchemists, and whilst trying to resurrect their mother when they were very, very small, one of the brothers lost an arm and a leg, and the other lost everything on his body and had to have his soul attached to a piece of armor. And they are now searching for the Philosopher's Stone to bring their bodies back, and it's an amazing story. And this character is not particularly a good character, but it's one of my favorite characters. I mean, I love all of the characters, even the villains, because they're very well constructed. And this is so purple. I mean, look at this reflection. Look at the purples in the metal. I mean, this has got to be... Oh, and then the back cover. This has got to be one of my favorite editions of any manga ever, all of the Full Metal, but this volume in particular has got to be one of my favorites. And I don't even know what happens in this volume, to be honest, because I haven't seen it. Oh, there's a color part in the middle of the manga. Oh, I know. Okay, I know what this part is because I already watched Fullmetal Alchemist Brotherhood. But as I was saying, this is just so beautiful, and this is going straight to my bedroom because we're going to make sweet love tonight. Then we're going to start talking about the books that I got in the book fair at last. And basically I got one historical fiction sort of romancy book, which is what I'm going to start with. One fantasy only, which is very strange for me because, as you know, fantasy is one of my favorite genres. And then I got 5 horror thrillerish novels, which is very strange for me, but I don't know why I really wanted to have a lot of horror thriller novels to read in this fall, and all of these sounded so great that I had to get them. So the first one, the historical fiction romancy kind of thing, is no surprise for you, again, because you probably know that I'm reading this, and that is Outlander, this big beast. And this is actually A Breath of Snow and Ashes, which is the 6th Outlander volume, but here in Portugal they divided it in 2 parts. So I already had part 1, and I'm reading part 1 at this moment, at the moment that I'm filming this, because it's being pre-filmed, but anyways. And I got part 2, which is this beast. So I can get it and read it, because the 7th volumes, part 1 and part 2, are already out in Portugal, and I have to get them to read them, but I couldn't because I haven't read the 6th one. So this was with a cool discount, because these books here, each one of these books costs almost 25 euros. So, not going to happen. But this was with a cool discount and I got it, and now I can finish the first part and read the second one. And if you don't know what Outlander is, there's the TV show. I don't want to explain a lot about this, particularly because this is a sixth book, but it's basically about this girl. She's a nurse in the Second World War, and she sort of travels back into time to Scotland, 17 something. No, yeah. I don't remember the dates exactly. But yeah, and there she meets a Scottish man, and they fall in love, and it's all very complicated. All of the bad things that you can imagine happening to someone happen in Outlander for some fucking reason, and there's just so much drama. I don't know why I enjoy this, to be honest. But I do. It's kind of a guilty pleasure read for me, and the historical fiction parts of the book are actually very interesting for someone that really wants to know how it happened in those times, so I think that's why I read it. I really cannot tell you, but I really do enjoy reading this for some reason. Then the only fantasy book that I got, and actually very, very small compared with that one book, is The Black Company, and this is by Glenn Cook. And supposedly, I don't know a lot about this, but this is supposed to be a little bit ancient fantasy for some reason. Let me see when this was published for the first time. For the first time, 1984. I was right. Okay, so this is supposed to be sort of old fantasy and is now being printed in Portuguese for the first time, I believe, and reprinted. And this was supposed to be the thing that gave birth to grimdark fantasy at the time. And if you know me, you know that the words dark and grim are sort of my middle names. So I had to get this. I mean, I think this is about a company of mercenaries called the Black Company, of course. And actually, this is Portuguese, if not. And it says, welcome to the most realistic, obscure, and violent side of fantasy. And they're supposed to be a company. They are supposed to serve great lords, but the glory days are over. They're over and done with, and they are working for a governor of an insignificant island. So they just do what they are paid for, and they don't give a shit about anything. But after centuries of being locked up, the lady has resurfaced, and I have no idea who the lady is. Okay, she's supposed to be a witch, I think. And someone believes that she is the only one that keeps the world safe of a greater evil, and some fear that she is the incarnation of that greater evil. When a prophecy arises that somewhere a young woman was born that will rid the world of the lady and her armies, the Black Company will have to choose a side. And this is supposed to be like a fantasy saga, original and disruptive. I don't know, it just sounds really good. Don't you feel like this sounds really good? I really want to read this. And now, the horror, the thrillers, the emotion. The first one that I got is The Heart-Shaped Box by Joe Hill. As you know, I've read a lot of Stephen King, but I never read Joe Hill, and he's Stephen King's son, and he has a lot of books and a lot of fame by itself. So I feel like I should pick this up and give it a chance because it sounds very interesting. Apparently it's about this dude that collects macabre things, and he kind of goes to a place where he bids on a ghost, I think. Is it a ghost? Someone is selling the ghost of their stepfather to the highest bidder. And he fucking goes there and he says, well, I'm bidding on that. And he is the proud owner of a suit of a dead man that is said to be hunted by a restless spirit, but is not really afraid. So, yeah, but then he is, because apparently the ghost is real. I don't know. I've never read this, and I don't know a lot about this, but people have been telling me that Joe Hill is great, and if he's anything like his dad, he's going to be great. So I'm very excited for this. If you've read Joe Hill, tell me if you love it. Don't spoil Heart-Shaped Box for me, please. But yeah, I really want to try this. And this is a Portuguese edition that has been out of print for a while, so I'm very happy that I got this. It's very rare that we get Joe Hill published in Portuguese for some fucking reason. Stephen King is all over the fucking world, printed in Portuguese, and Joe Hill, Nah, just in English. For some reason, I don't know, but I'm very glad that I got this one and I really want to read it. Then I got at last Final Girls by Riley Sager, and this is also in Portuguese. If you can see in there, I have The Last Time I Lied by Harley, which is his second book, but I didn't have this one. And I want to start with the first one because I have been hearing people say that his writing and his plot twists have been improving, so I want to start with the supposed worst so I can get to the best. The third book is not yet out in Portuguese, and because I already have 2 books in Portuguese, I think maybe I'll wait for the third one in Portuguese. So I have to read this too to see if I really enjoyed it. But this kind of sounds like a slasher, an 80s slasher horror movie, and that's my thing so much. This reminds me a lot of Scream, while The Last Time I Lied reminds me a lot of Friday the 13th for some reason. I don't know. So this is basically about this girl. She's part of this club called the Final Girls with 2 other girls, I believe, and they're basically survivors of respective massacres that happen with them. But one day, one of the final girls disappears, and apparently a killer has been hunting them again, just final girls. So the girl that we are following is going to have to survive again, and we don't know what happened to the other one. Maybe she's dead, maybe she's not, and there's another. I don't know. This sounds so much fun. Up my alley. Then I got 3 books from the same author, an author that I do not know, that I've never read anything about. And I just picked the 3 books, and I said, yeah, those are all coming with me. And I don't know if I made the biggest mistake of my life, but it doesn't look like it. And these are the 3 books that I got. These are 3 horror psychological thrillers, and they're all by S.K. Tremaine, which is a pseudonym for this dude named Sean Thomas. And he's a British journalist. And if the backs, or if the inside of the book is as interesting as the back of the books, oh shit, this is going to be good. So the first book is called The Ice Twins, and this is the first book that he published as long as I know of. And this is basically a story of 2 twins, and they were 6 years old, they were identical twins, and one day, one of the girls dies accidentally because she falls out of a balcony. And the parents are like completely distraught, and they move into an island in Scotland in hopes that they can like reform their lives and move on after the accident. But one day, 1 year later, the survival twin accuses her parents of making a big mistake, and she states that the sister that fell from the balcony was the other one and not her. So basically they were called Lydia and Christy, and supposedly Lydia was the one to die. But then this girl said that Christy died, and she was actually Lydia, which is very strange already. And then there's this night where a storm grazes the island, and mother and daughter are isolated, and they are like tortured by the past and unexplicable visions that almost drive them insane. What really happened in that fateful day that one of the twins died? And I mean, this sounds so interesting because it could have supernatural or it could not have supernatural. And it's so very interesting. And creepy little children. I mean, what? This is amazing. The second book that I got from this author is as creepy as the first one, if not more creepy. And it's called The Fire Child, obviously by S.K. Tremaine. And this is basically about this woman. She marries with this guy, David. She feels like the life that she always wanted. She comes from London to Cornhallow in Cornwall, and she finds peace. She loves her husband. She loves her husband's son. But one day, the child, Jamie, starts to behave funnily and strangely and starts to do some... the child starts to know things that she wasn't supposed to know. He wasn't supposed to know. And things that become real. And one day he says that Nina, his mother, is still with them. But supposedly Nina was dead, you know? And Rachel, which is the main character, starts to see what's going on in the past of this family and to turn up some secrets, and it says, what's the truth about Nina's mortal accident? Could it be that David is lying? And if yes, why? When the summer is over and December is getting closer, Rachel starts to fear the truth of Jamie's words. You are going to die in Christmas Day. And this is written as a countdown to Christmas. And I love when books have countdowns because it's just so panicky. It's like, you're getting there, and things are unsolved. And it's just amazing. And again, you don't know if it's supernatural or if not, or if the woman is not dead, or if the child is just weird. And it's just so interesting. And the last book by this author is called, what is it called? Just Before I Died. They translated this for The Girl in the Woods for some reason. I don't know why, but fuck that. So basically this is about this girl. She's a little bit weird. She's 9 years old. And she is a very silent sort of inside girl. She is not very extrovert. She's a little bit of an introvert. She doesn't talk, or she talks in riddles. But one day, she really likes to go to the woods and whatever. But one day an accident happens. Her mom has a car accident, but she miraculously survives. And it says, everyone's life changes, but Lila knows something else happened and tries to explain that things are not as simple. There's a man that's always there, but nobody believes and nobody understands. And I'm like, there's a man? What? And the man disappeared after the fucking accident? Did the child got in the accident as well? Is she hurt? Is there supernatural? Is there not? Who the fuck is that man? And isn't this just so exciting? I've never read anything with these premises. It's just so creepy. So yeah, this is all from my haul, and these three, as you could see, are the ones I'm most excited for because they have the potential to be extremely amazing, but they also have the potential to be very, very not amazing. So we will see. I hope I love them all. I hope I love all of these books. If you know any of these books, tell me in the comments down below. I'm sorry that my voice is going out again, but you know, life is complicated. Help. I was making fun of this, and now I'm even sicker. Jesus. Okay, so that's going to be all for this video. I can't talk anymore. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you like it, leave a like or subscribe, and tell me some of the creepy books that you're going to read in the fall season. That's all for today, and happy readings to you all. Bye!